What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today I am talking about the latest offering from British death/thrash metal legends Cancer, Inverted World. This also comes out on April 25th, this time on Peaceville Records, and this is the band's 7th studio full-length overall and their first one in 7 years. Of course, when it comes down to this band and myself, I've mainly only listened to the second album, Death Shall Rise, which is an absolute beast of an album. I've listened to stuff off of To the Glory End and a couple things off of The Sins of Mankind, and those are pretty great albums in their own right, but it's primarily Death Shall Rise is my go-to when it comes to this band. Of course, from what I've seen and heard, they had a major drop-off after The Sins of Mankind, broke up, reformed, and here we are. And only one original member, and that's John Walker, the guitarist and vocalist. So here we are with a brand new album. Now, I was curious to check this out to kind of get an idea of how this band sounds like today, considering that, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Death Shall Rise. And well, this album, it's definitely got some peaks and valleys to it. As we kick things off with Enter the Gates, immediately you get these big machine gun thrash riffs. And I gotta say, the production and the tones and the mix on this album is pretty solid. Like, the production was done by their guitarist Daniel, who is also in the band Eternal Storm. But the mix was done by V. Santura of Triptychon. So, you know, when you got V. Santura doing the mix, you're going to have a pretty beefy sounding album. And this album certainly sounds beefy sonic-wise. So immediately this song gets you familiar with the beef of this album. Musically, the song goes into some groove pockets. And one thing I didn't expect to hear on this album that kind of gets peppered into a good chunk of the album is little atonal tags and dissonant tags on the guitars. And this song kind of gets that ball rolling a little bit, and as it keeps progressing, and even after a breakdown, it does eventually get into some thrashier riffs and some blast beats, not like blast, but like blast beats, like almost black metal or early death metal blast beats. And which leads me to talking about the lead work. The lead work on this album, sometimes it kind of goes down the dive bomb well a little too often, but then there are times where the leads do get a little bit shreddier and even at times harmonized, like the lead in When Killing Isn't Murder, which is an interesting title. The lead is harmonized, which definitely adds a little more dynamic to the solos. But getting back to the songs and like the tropes that you get, like for the most part there's not that much in terms of speed on here. Like it's mostly in the mid-tempo, almost a fast tempo, but you still do get plenty of faster moments on the album. Like the track Until They Died, the guitars build up into blasts and thrashy machine gun riffs, and it gallops pretty nicely before you get some like chugging riffs and, like I said, some dissonant tags. Then the title track, this is really where I think it started to get more vicious. Like the song itself, it's mostly a big triplet chugging stomper. It feels more evil. Then again, this whole album kind of has like a more sinister, evil tone to it. And this song kind of has riffs that have a bit of a Morbid Angel vibe, and that even comes up again with like the opening riffs on When Killing Isn't Murder. It gets back to a little bit of a Morbid Angel vibe with the groove and the murkiness of the guitars, and even the dissonance kind of adding a little bit of extra element to the beginning, before it does build up nicely into like triplet chugs and thrash, blasts, and again that harmonized lead. 39 bodies, which makes me wonder, why specifically 39? And whenever I see the number 39, I think of that Grinch YouTube poop. You've got 39 and a half spiders in your brain. But this song starts off with more atonal guitars and the drums building everything up before you get back to groove, back to like more hefty riffs, and even some chromatic riffs come in as the song progresses even further. Test Site, this one goes for more of the speed. Like, this one goes for a bit more of a thrashiness to it, and it's more furious, it's aggressive. There's even some more, like, angular riffs coming in, as well as your thrashy gallops. Even the atmosphere that kind of creeps in here is a bit on the murkier side. And then you even get towards the end, like at the very end of the song, when you get like a dive bomb, it's on top of a groove and lots of dissonance. Amputate starts off with these like atonal machine gun riffs, and again, dissonant tags, groove, but there's some awesome chug and even a nice triplet chug, and occasionally the song goes off time, or it might be like polyrhythms, I'm not 100%. But then you get into Covert Operations. This one definitely has a much more old school death metal feel to it, like tremolos and like the almost like Swedish death metal blast beats. Like, the song itself kind of has nods to a band like Unleashed, where it's not all about full-on speed, but it's got more like those tremolos and blasts, and also it gets into double time and even some lumbering groove, kind of giving it a tiny bit of a bolt thrower kind of sensibility to it, which definitely, after like having some onslaught songs like When Killing Is a Murder and so on and so forth, having a song that feels more old school death metal was a nice change of pace. Jesus for Eugenics, probably the darkest song on the album. Like, there's some acoustic play at the beginning, and the first half of the song, it's pretty much a death doom song. Like, it's slow, but it's very heavy, and then suddenly you get into like a big double time gallop and a breakdown at the end. And then the closer, Corrosive, cool bass line, and there's some chug and groove and some more thrash going on. However, the chorus of the song is very repetitive and kind of lame, where it's just shouting the song title over and over and over again. So, yeah, musically, it's got all the aspects of what you expect from a Cancer album, like death metal and with some like thrash charm to it. But I will say this album definitely plays more towards groove, and even bringing in, like I said, some atonal and dissonant tags to kind of add more spice. However, I think this album would have benefited if you had more standout songs. Like, the main standouts for me on here would be the title track, Test Site, Covert Operations, and Jesus for Eugenics. Those were the main standouts. I wish you could have had a couple of more to make this album more memorable, and also I wish there could have been some more speed on here as opposed to just sticking to the groove. But overall, this is still a pretty damn good album. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. This is a pretty solid return for this band, and hopefully we don't have to wait another 7 years, so yeah, check it out if you haven't. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching, keep your horns high, and your dreams wet.